In the late 80s and early 90s, there was quite a wide range of animations that focused on dreams and dream making as their subject matter. There's the underrated and oft neglected Twice Upon a Time, the first of this trend to be officially released. Then there was the BFG, and granted that was based on a book that involved dreams. Of course there were other cartoons around this same period that involved dreamlike thematics too, like Potsworth and Company and Captain Z and the Z-Zone. But one animated series that did this best in my opinion was a little gemstone of an animation itself. After all, none can compare as to how wonderful, magical and charming as this one is, and this animation is very much the definition of a fine British cartoon. I am of course talking about Mike Jupp's The Dreamstone. The Dreamstone was a truly beautiful piece of English animation that has fallen into the neglected realm of forgotten, obscure animated media. And I have to say this is a crying shame, as it's got a very strong and dedicated fan base, with myself included, who all still greatly adore this series. Join me, the Blue Artisan, as today I find out if the Dreamstone really is better than a dream. Dreamt up by British cartoonist Mike Jupp, the Dreamstone started out as an idea for an animated series and possible movie pitch. Back in the early 80s, Mr. Jupp was still in America. Mike Jupp created an animated short pilot called The Dream Thief. It was created with the help of animation studio Mill Valley, located in California. In its earliest format, it has a very strong Don Bluth appeal to it, as it has a very early 80s fantasy movie vibes. It kinda feels like Secret of Nim, and if you watch the pilot, which I will leave a link to in the description, you will see what I mean. Here's a fun fact for you all. How's this for star power? The pilot, The Dream Thief, had a young 12-year-old Christian Bale playing the part of main protagonist of the series, Rufus. Yeah, I was gobsmacked when I found that out. Despite this truly magnificent looking pilot, it wasn't until the early 1990s that The Dream Thief was to be taken and transformed into The Dreamstone, where Mike Jupp's idea was made into a television series, produced by Martin Gates Production and Filmfare, and aired on September 25th, 1990, was broadcast on CITV. The first season of The Dreamstone opens with a two-part special episode introduction, which can be viewed in a singular viewing for around a 40-minute special, and it also makes for a great fantasy film animation, as it's filled with adventure, magic, excitement and danger. Of course there's good humour and a fair decent amount of scares to keep you captivated throughout the whole 40-minute runtime, where the age-old battle of good versus evil takes place, with the kindly dream maker, a wizard of sorts, who makes dreams to give to everyone, and the evil and utterly bedwettingly scary Lord of Nightmares himself, Zordrak. Ooh. It's interesting to note that Zordrak has remained relatively unchanged between the pilot of The Dream Thief and the Dreamstone series. He was definitely just as frightening. If anything, he was just a bit more of a drooler back then. Need a bib, mate? And yes, Zordrak scared the living life out of me when I was younger. Can you blame me? I mean, just look at him. I put him on the top spot for my animated villain list for good reason. Even Mike Jupp's official art of Zordrak looks incredible and screams nightmarish Lord of Evil. And if appearance alone wasn't enough to make you scared of Zordrak, his voice was absolutely frightening too.
The Dreamstone is mine, the end of pleasant dreams. Now my power is absolute.
Gary Martin did a phenomenally deep, booming, terrifying, commanding, scary voice, perfect for one who is titled the Lord of Nightmares. Zordrak scared me so much that I ended up locking him deep within the childhood trauma door with Charn. Can you blame me?
Take it away.
And this ended up making me forget all about the Dreamstone as a series in whole. So let's dust this old series down and revisit the Dreamstone and see why it's such a great British animation. And right from the beginning, this rendered drawing draws you into the scary world of the Land of Nightmares, where you're introduced to the big bad, Zordrak, who, right off the Mike Bat, don't worry, you'll get that joke later, he ices one of his minions for voicing his concerns.
This will end your problems, and mine.
So now You know, just what an awful baddie we're dealing with. In contrast to the Land of Nightmares, we get the introduction to our main character, Rufus, who's not voiced by Christian Bale, but by Stuart Locke in the series. Rufus is introduced to us, the audience, through a magical fantasy dream sequence.
I dream in colour, 'cause I live in black and white.
Ooh, I get nostalgia bumps all over whenever I watch this. I also get some Watership Down vibes from the series' signature song, Better Than a Dream.
Better than a dream, stranger than my wild...
Oh wait, that's because the series' musical score was done by Mike Jupp. See that joke I made earlier? Makes sense now, doesn't it?
Bright eyes, burning light.
Mike Jupp was the composer for Watership Down's Bright Eyes. No wonder that Better Than a Dream sounds so familiar to me. And yes, that is indeed the London Philharmonic Orchestra. Wow, that's a fantastic composer, an excellent sound score for a TV series. Round of applause, everyone. So as the day starts, we see Rufus, whose species is a noob. And Rufus is a carefree, happy daydreaming noob, who, unlike other noobs, finds regular everyday stuff boring, much to the annoyance of his fellow noobs.
Nice enough, young noob, but always daydreaming.
As Rufus enters work, he is greeted by his best friend Amberly, voiced by Nancy Hendry.
Morning to you indeed. Mr. Wax will be furious.
Amberly tells Rufus he must be more prompt in his timekeeping, so Rufus ends up digging into his main task and does what Rufus does best, daydreams on the job, and ends up upsetting Mr. Wax. And if you're sensitive to foul language like I am, I'd advise you to put your fingers in your ears.
You nincompoop!
Ooh, my, such hot language. Rufus laments with Amberly about his situation and how he can't hold down a job. But Amberly suggests the best job for Rufus.
If you're going to be apprentice to anyone, perhaps it should be the dream maker.
So off Rufus sets to meet the kindly dream maker and is greeted by the magical man of dreams and his watchdog fish, Albert. By the way, Albert is the series mascot, and you can see why. He's cute, charming, funny, and adorable. Everything you'd want from a series mascot. So the dream maker, in his wisdom, knows all about why Rufus has ventured to his door and gladly accepts and begins to show Rufus around his, wait for it, I love it when he says that. That's probably because he's voiced by John Franklin Robbins, who did an excellent job at portraying the kindly, magical dream maker. And oh yes, the dream maker can float instead of walk. Well, don't show off or anything. The dream maker guides Rufus around his and shows him all the instruments and ingredients used to make dreams.
Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. Oh, I do like to be beside the sea.
So after showing Rufus around, the Dreammaker has one last thing to show Rufus, the greatest and grandest of all his secrets, the source of all dreams, the Dreamstone. Oh wow, this thing looks mighty important. Yet Rufus has but one question to ask.
Sometimes I have really bad dreams, or nightmares. Why is that?
They come from the realm of Zordrak, the Lord of Nightmares.
Well, that explains that then. Of course, this is where we get into the deep lore of the Dreammaker and his long-time nemesis, Zordrak. Speaking of which, I wonder what he's up to.
Sergeant Blob!
Yes, sir.
Oh good, he's employed a new chief Erpney, Sergeant Blob, voiced by Richard Tate.
No errors, sir. Definitely no errors.
Blob has mannerisms that reminds me of Sergeant Major from It Ain't Half Hot Mum.
What do you think you're doing, lovely boys? Standing round here drinking tea?
There's a lot of things you don't know about me, lad.
And now, Zordrak has his sights set on the Dreamstone.
This time, I will have the Dreamstone. The end of nice dreams. There will only be nightmares.
So, starting off small, Rufus is instructed to clean up the dream bottles, while on the other side of the planet, Sergeant Blob gets his Erpney armies ready and as such gives great insight into how the world in this universe works.
This here is the land of nightmares, what we are standing on at this moment in time. This here is the so-called land of dreams, for what we are heading. And this fluffy bit here is what is known as your impenetrable mist of limbo. Any questions so far?
Well, the mist of limbo is enough to put any Erpney off. Yet 2 Erpneys stay behind. The series' signature lackeys, Brummy Frizz and Little Nug.
Say no more, sir?
We will not file, sir.
See that you don't.
They are the lovable scratch and grounder of the series, and the oblivious lackeys that question everything and make astute observations. You can't help but love them. Frizz, who was funny enough voiced by Melvin Haynes, was one of the actors in It Ain't Half Hot Mum. What a coincidence. I was also amazed to find out that Anthony Jackson, the voice of Nug, was also the same voice actor for the 4 guards in the Labyrinth.
And I should warn you that one of us always tells the truth and one of us always lies. That's a rule too.
Incredible, right? So the Erpneys set off in their flying contraption, and I absolutely love this visual gag.
You've noticed I turned on the angle to your seat like never before, sir.
It's so funny, gets me every time. Meanwhile, Rufus is visited by Amberly, who delivers the Dreammaker's candles. Of course, Rufus shows off in front of Amberly, showing her around and bragging about how he's the Dreammaker's
Right hand, nope.
Rufus gets so carried away in his bragging rights that he shows Amberly the Dreamstone.
I thought the Dreamstone was just a legend.
It's as real as my skull, and it does exist. Here, let me show you.
Which was just at the wrong time as it so happens. Sergeant Blob outright nicks it, leading to rushed shenanigans. With Blob and co taking the Dreamstone and also kidnapping Amberly by mistake, and they set off back to Zordrak, with the Dreamstone now in his possession.
With the Dreamstone go all pleasant dreams, and our only defense against Zordrak and his nightmares.
It's now up to Rufus to pluck up the courage and own up to his mistakes, and thus sets off on a quest to get the Dreamstone back. Sergeant Blob is duly congratulated by Zordrak.
Well done, Blob.
And dispenses of the magical Dreamstone into a pit that gave me childhood nightmares. In fact, this whole scene, where Amberly is turned into stone, used to be enough to turn my eyes away from the TV screen. I hated it. Ooh, truly frightening stuff. Off Rufus sets on his quest to retrieve the Dreamstone, where he's greeted by some forest dwellers named Watts. The head Watt is named Pildit, and he introduces himself to Rufus.
I'm Pildit the 8th, leader of the Watts. How do you do?
Pildit reveals that he is an aide to the Dreammaker and will help Rufus in retrieving the Dreamstone. But first, a good night's kip is in order. But do you really think that Zordrak's gonna let that happen? Think again. The whole land is besieged upon by Zordrak's nightmare children, the Argorables.
They're horrible, these Argorables.
Rufus and Pildit hasten into returning the Dreamstone, so off they go. But how do they get through the impenetrable mists of limbo without a flying contraption like the Erpneys had? Why with these magical cool floaty leaves, of course. So off they go through those terrifying clouds. But of course not without being noticed by Zordrak.
The pathetic fools. Look who they've sent against me. A decrepit Watt and a Noop. Sergeant Blob, man the whirly-ped. Intercept and destroy them.
Blob is set upon the task of disposing of Rufus and Pildit. And then we get the introduction of my favourite character in the entire series of the Dreamstone, Erpgore, Zordrak's right-hand man.
Oh no, it's Erpgore.
Erpgore is the definition of a mad scientist. He's very overly animated and exaggerated to the point that he goes beyond lunacy. He's off his flipping rocker. He is voiced by actor Leonard Whiting, at least in the first 3 seasons anyway. He did an incredibly zany performance, further enhancing Erpgore's genius.
Genius, of course, is its own reward.
Throughout the Dreamstone series, Earpgore makes for an excellent case study of good, strong 2D traditional animation skills.
I could get an award for this.
Oh well, enough Earpgore gushing. With Earpgore's instructions, Sergeant Blob sets out to stop Rufus and Pildit in their tracks. Unfortunately, Blob and co weren't the best for this job, were they? Oh dear.
Drop the egg.
I wonder what Zordrak makes of that.
I'll bury them alive! So much for our puny foes. They'll never get my Dreamstone. We shall celebrate.
Well, at least someone's happy.
I'm nearly there. Oh no, Pildit!
Oh wow, what a sad moment. This music makes it even more tearful for sure. Rufus remains undeterred and soldiers on, where he manages to sneak in and comes across some scary looking statues. Oh well, I guess not all of them are scary now, are they? After all, one of them is Amberly. But with the power of love, she's cured! Thanks to the fact that Amberly was kidnapped, she knows what happened to the Dreamstone before she was turned to stone. So the two conduct a plan to retrieve the stone, and as the Earpnies are still in celebration mode, no one can stop them. That is until Rufus gets carried away again.
I've got the Dreamstone, look!
And alert Zordrak to their presence. Oh no, this isn't going to end well. Zordrak's evil power is no match for the Dreamstone, and he is thwarted.
Deus Ex Machina!
Oh yeah, seeing Zordrak get his was very satisfying to childhood. Rufus and Amberly make a daring escape, and of course a chase scene ensues. Until they're met by a dead end. Who's going to save them now? Why Pildit, of course. He's alive after all. Huzzah!
Now you know what's for.
Pildit!
They make their way safely back to the Dreammaker's house, saving the Dreamstone. Hooray! Leaving poor Frizz Nug and Sergeant Blob stuck in the crevice in Vilfeed, looking for... The Dreamstone is returned safe and sound, and the Dreammaker forgives Rufus and allows him to continue on apprenticing with him, along with Amberly too, and they celebrate with the most English way possible, over a cup of tea, whilst adoring Newt celebrate and thank Rufus for bringing the Dreamstone back.
Bright lad. We always knew he'd go far.
All's well that ends well, eh? Well, Zordrak is more than a little upset about this, and vows revenge.
The force of nightmares never sleeps. I will have the Dreamstone!
That would continue on for 4 more series. I fondly remember running home from school to watch Animals of Farthingwood along with the Dreamstone.
It's wonderful, Master! Quite wonderful! We're on CITV and we're on next!
Well, go and get ready then, Earpgore.
There's clearly a lot of hard work, dedicated effort, and a ton of production values put into this TV series. And sadly, it's a rare case of excellent animation that we'll never be able to see again, as it truly is a once-in-a-lifetime sort of thing. It's evident that the voice actors had a lot of fun recording their dialogue, as you can see.
You go on the mission, Earpgore, since you're so capable.
Right! All right then! I will!
What a joy this footage is to watch. For an animated TV series in the UK, this is definitely on par with Disney and Warner Brothers, I'd say. There is a lot of love that has gone into this series, and it shows with its amazing fantasy soundtrack composed by Mike Batt. The backgrounds are all beautifully rendered. I mean, I can't get enough at how well they establish Zordrak's evil, scary lair, Ooh, it's just perfect for a villain befitting the name of Lord of Nightmares, isn't it? The first 2 opening episodes of the Dreamstone certainly make for a great fantasy animated film by itself. If anyone fancies a good early 90s fantasy animation film, ooh, you won't regret it. The Dreamstone fanbase certainly have created a ton of great work. My personal favourite is the Dream Dance music video, which itself is an edited video of all the best part of the Dreamstone series to Mike Batt's soundtrack of The Dream Dance. It sounds brilliant and it's an awesome Dreamstone video that really gets you in the mood to watch the show again. One of the best impacting legacies that the Dreamstone has is its dedicated fanbase. They have a great Facebook page too. And Mike Jupp himself is very vocal on the site too. He's very proud of this series, and rightly so. Mike Jupp created a wonderful fantasy series. And for that I can't thank him enough for this wonderful legacy to British animation. You can of course check out the official Dreamstone YouTube channel where they have most of the episodes online. After all is said and done, the Dreamstone did certainly make one of the best pieces of British animation that stands the test of time. It's definitely better than a dream. Hi, and thanks for checking out today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter here, links in the description below too. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.